This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are breaking down the fall of the Cavaliers. What's happened to the Cavaliers? Was it truly injuries? Or was it poor coaching or poor play? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and there's times in the sports calendar year where a lot of weird things happen. We kind of, see weird stories happen, weird things kind of pop along, which that's going to be kind of today's episode. There's going to be a lot of some things that are going to be some debating going on, some discussion about what other people are saying, and we'll get to that in a second. But before we get to that, Josh, how was your week? And how's that summer weather coming along? Because right now it's still like 60 degrees here. It's been like that for 3 weeks. So I'm just waiting for the heat to kind of finally come back.
Yeah, we've had some sunny days over here. I think it's in the 70s today, but just before we recorded, it started raining, so we'll see how long that's supposed to last. But yeah, outside of that, weekend was mine to work, so just
chilling and working.
Chilling and working, yeah, for the most part. Got to watch some basketball and baseball yesterday, which we'll be talking about here because a certain team in Ohio was pretty disappointing. But before we get into that, I'll go ahead and let you recap your weekend, share some of those victories that you were telling me about before the show.
Yeah, we obviously, as most people know, I coach, and this year I'm a receiver coach for the top league team, and then the second team, which is like kind of our newer guys, backups that don't get to play a lot. I'm the head coach of that team, and so the first game, which was our top team, we won 40-0. Pretty nice win, right? And then our second team on Sunday, being the head coach of that team, we won 57-0. So I would say it was a pretty good day. It was a pretty good weekend, I should say. It was a good weekend.
It's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's really annoying though in the league here in Hungary is that if you get up 35 points, it's kind of like high school. They have a running clock, right? So
there's a running clock. Okay.
Yeah. This is the annoying part though. When they calculate the scores after the game, they don't count anything above 35 points. So basically, you get a 35-0 victory for basically run ruling a team. They don't actually count the points to your now. Stat wise, a lot of the stats they stay like that you scored more touchdowns, but in the standings, it only counts as a 35-0 win. So if you're like, let's say at the end of the year tied with an undefeated team, they're going to go by points. But if your technically points are lower because they decided not to, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a kind of a frustrating rule that a lot of us coaches don't agree with because it's like, okay, then why did I continue playing the game then? Like, why didn't they just
like if it's just going to be 35-0, then why are we playing that game and risking injuries to some of our other guys?
And we got two guys hurt in that game in our 40-0 game. So it was kind of like for us, it's just like, then why are we? Then why, there should be a thing where, okay, then if you get up 35 points, then it's like, okay, we end the game there. Like that's basically what you're saying. So that's definitely like as a coach, and especially for my head coaching job, we're about to start playoffs. So if I would have known this, like going into it, I probably would have benched my starters probably like midway through the second, because we were up 43-0 at halftime in our second team game. So I would have benched guys after like the first quarter. I would have just been like, you guys aren't playing the rest of the game. Because we have playoffs coming up, and it's going to be a challenging in that sense. So,
right.
Yeah, it's kind of an annoying rule that I don't like. I wish it was like the high school in America where it's like, yeah, you could win 75 to freaking 10, but you're still going to get all those points added to your season total officially, which it makes more sense.
So like in the box score, like in I guess the league official stats, if you have a running back say rush for 7 touchdowns, that's like the equivalent of 49 points. Are those touchdowns gonna be registered as 7
because
touchdowns?
This is the thing in the scorebook, we still won 57-0. We still won 40-0. It's just in the standings part of it, they count it as a 35-0 win. So it's almost like these magical points just disappear. It's like they just it's like they just get removed from that, but yet. Still, let's say our running back has 4 touchdowns, because I think one of our players, he had, in my game, my second team game, he had 4 receiving touchdowns, and our quarterback had 7 touchdowns total. So then I basically was trying to figure out, but then I looked on the stats, and they still technically said that he had 7 touchdowns, but I'm just like, then
7 touchdowns is 42 points, so why does our final score say 35?
Exactly. So, so there's a lot of that stuff that's just kind of really frustrating, but, It's European football, so they kind of tweak things to make it kind of friendly to what Europeans are used to. So there's always a tweak here and there in that
Hmm,
sense. But
I got you. Well, shoot.
yeah.
When I am Hungarian Football League commissioner one day, I got some things to change
Oh
and
no,
work on over
there's some
there.
things that like if they ever ask me to be on the like the administration board, I'm gonna be like, dude, there's gonna be some things that like even some of the refs do. Okay, so you know how in America you get an interference like on the sideline interference. They throw the flag and they say, okay, this is our
Side
first
interference,
warning.
usually they give you a warning and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
they
yeah.
start penalizing you after. Yeah.
So I got one in the national team game back in August. I got a flag because I bumped the dude in the head. Like it was on accident. I didn't mean to. They just penalized me. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. Maybe it's international rules. I was like, okay, whatever. Then in this game, in our HFL game, our receiver was kind of in the line of way, but he wasn't. But the guy kind of stepped over him, and he just kind of put his hand on his back and said, "Oh, I'm sorry." The guy throws a flag for it because he said, "I'm sorry," and
Hmm.
like because he touched him basically, and they gave him a 15-yarder. They just give a straight 15 yards, and it's just like that's such an annoying rule. It's like it should be if you're going off college rules, which they base it off of, then this should be it should be a warning. But anyways, there's like those little
Yeah.
things that just like really drive me like irk me. Like I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
guess
make sense.
note to all the coaches that are listening.
Oh
Make
yeah,
sure you
just
know
stay
your
away.
league's rules and
Yeah,
don't
stay
just
away.
go off of what you know from the NFL or college
There's
football.
always a
Like make
tweak. There's
sure,
always a
yeah,
tweak.
make sure you know the that rule book cover to cover.
It's wild. It is wild. But you know what's also wild, Josh, and it's I know you're going to bring it up, and I'm just going to say this. You can lead into the story, but I think
Hmm.
there was a two-faced door in this playoffs, and I don't know which one we finally saw. But you can explain what I just said there, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not more than a week removed from Ben and I confidently saying there's not really anyone in the East that scares us outside of Boston. And I mean, even now, Tatum has that torn Achilles and he's out for that series and doesn't look like Boston's going to advance. But anyways, looks like Cavs are, the clear number one team. I mean, they had the best record in the Eastern Conference, and we're like, yeah, we got Indiana. It should be, a game or a series that we win in. I would guess 6 games, move on to face, the winner of New York and Boston. And then from there, it's like, okay,
Hmm.
we should be able to win that, get to the finals, and it turns out we don't even make it past the conference semis.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, I know we weren't the most healthy, and people will point to that, but we'll
It's
get into that
excuses.
too. But yeah, lose the series in 5 games. It looks like a totally different team that we're feeling out there. The whole
No
series, it
defense
was
at
like
all.
no defense, and that was something that we were bragging about with Mobley and Allen and some of our other guards. Is
Where
we
was the
got
coach of the
definitely an
year?
advantage over there. We got a coach of the year. We got depth. Uh, and we lose in 5 games, and a lot of these losses ended up being big collapses. We go into the fourth
Yeah.
quarter of game 5 with the lead, I believe, and we lose that. Game 2, we're up 7 with 50 seconds to go and lose on a game winner there. Game 4 was probably the most embarrassing loss the Cleveland Cavaliers have ever suffered post LeBron
Oh yeah.
era. Just the way that they lost that one, that was when I knew it was over. That was a straight up we
You
quit
texted me. You
moment.
even texted me. You're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about on the episode this week about the Cavs?" And after we see what happens in Game 5, you're like, "It's not looking good." Like you even said that
Yeah.
like after that game.
Yeah. Not looking good. But I think my overall take on the Cavs is I think like saying that they're young is like overused now. I mean, guys like Darius Garland are 27 now. Like LeBron was carrying this team to the finals when he was 21. I don't think it's youth. I think it's more so that this team just lacks the overall toughness. Like I would love to see Evan Mobley take over a game one of these days
He
instead of
won't.
just doing his same old same old. I
He
would love
won't.
to see Garland like, be a little bit more tough in moments. I would love to see some of these other guys like Ty
How about
Jerome
play through an injury?
step up.
How about just play through an
Yeah.
injury?
Yeah,
Like
I mean
look at the guy from
there's that
Denver,
too.
Porter. He said like I'm not doing X-rays. Like X-rays are not for the freaking playoffs. Like that.
if
Where's that
Darius
mentality?
Garland, if Darius Garland was all that hurt, why was he still on the court when we were down 40 points in game 4? Like
Yeah.
at that point, we already lost. We're not coming back from that. And they're putting him out there playing useless minutes so that we can, I guess, lose the game by 20 instead of 40 as a final score.
Yeah.
It's like if he's actually injured, we shouldn't be playing him
Yeah.
all these like useless minutes. But that's my overall takeaway is this team right now, as it stands, can have the deepest roster. It can, have this great regular season performance, the guys on defense. But right now, we lack depth. And I
Well,
think that's going to be what holds us back from getting any further than conference
yeah.
semis.
I mean, you saw what I posted on Facebook. I said I'm tired of this freaking like Donovan Mitchell said this last year, like it's a freaking the same quote every single year. Oh, we let the city down. Oh, we like I know you guys are going to be like, effing us about us and stuff. I'm like, yeah, they should. Like they should. Like I'm so like I'm going to sound like Stephen A. Smith here, but like I'm so tired of everyone hyping up the Cavs. Like, look, I was the biggest proponent of the Cavs that we saw in the first round. Like that Cavs team was the team we saw all year.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's flipped. I don't know what switch flipped. I don't think Pacers played extremely that much better than the Cavs. I feel like generally they were tougher, but I think outside of that, like we saw in game 3 when it became 2-1, we saw that like that was the Cavs team that we all expected to see. Like that was the team that we thought that okay, here we go. We're going to tie it 2-2. And the one thing that Mitchell did say is oh, we didn't win at home. Like that's the thing that bothered me the most. It's like you couldn't get one game at home. You couldn't keep the lead for 3 quarters. Like like even this last game, they were up 12 points at the end of the first quarter. Like where did the mentality just disappear?
Yep.
And you hear these rumors about how Struss texted the guys, said, hey, if you're not going to play hard, don't show up. And yet he goes 0 for freaking 8 from the field with 4 turnovers. Like
Wasn't a good look.
To me, what's frustrating is that I feel as if as Cleveland fans, we have thick skin and we've been through a lot in our sports teams. We've been through a lot, the Guardians to the Browns to now to the Cavs. But we have a breaking point. And we have a point when we could start seeing the BS. We could start seeing this like they talked about this family and this like unity. Look, I remember watching the 2015 Cavs, when they won it all. And that team had unity because when it meant the most, they were grinding through injuries. They were grinding through pain. They were grinding through everything. You had a coach who cared more about the team than anything else. And I feel like it's like once we got all these accolades from the regular season, once we, got all these different things, it felt like, okay, we accomplished it. We're finally back where we need to be. I'm sorry. If this was your perfect opportunity. Now, I hate the fact that Tatum got hurt, but this was your perfect opportunity to conquer the Celtics and get yourself to the finals, right? Because
Yeah.
this was like, or the Knicks, either way. Like, I don't think the Knicks are going to be that team. Like, I really think the Pacers now have the perfect route to the finals, just the way they're built and the way that they've played. I just, to be honest with you, Josh, and I said it in the post that I shared, like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing the same thing every single year. And like I've tried to be positive, and you can ask my dad. I'm a very positive person. I try to like look at the positive of the teams, even with the Reds. And as much as I joke about it, like I try to see the positive. Same with the Browns. I try to see the positive of their draft class and like all these different things. But when you lose in the playoffs and then you say the same thing you said last year, like, oh, I love this city. I'm like, then put your bodies on the line. Then put yourself out there where it hurts, man. Suck it up. Like, I know I'm going to sound like a very angry fan, but it's just reality. These other teams don't have these issues where guys are just missing for banged up foot or they're questionable. You don't see freaking Nikola Jokic doing that. And give it credit to Mitchell. Like, he showed up to every game, whether he was hurting or not. But yeah, this is just me venting more or less. Just I'm frustrated with how you have the coach of the year, you have the defensive player of the year, and yet the defensive player of the year did not look like a defensive player of the year. He looked like a very soft individual that didn't know what he was doing. And you had a coach of the year who seemed stunned when things were going wrong. Like, how do I fix it? And it kind of reminds me of those Brooklyn Net days where he'd get to a certain point and he couldn't figure out how to cap it all off. And that's where I feel like we're at now.
Yeah, the whole like unity, for the city, togetherness, all that is all well and good. But if all that's getting you is just to the conference semifinals, you gotta look in the mirror and figure out how to get to the next gear. And if you can't handle the criticism, then that just kind of goes to show that we're saying you guys lack toughness. It's like, yeah, you lack toughness, mental toughness too, to not be able to handle criticism. Like, I'm not going to say that the Pacers were a bunch of scrubs. I think I might have given that impression we were talking about first. Like, this roster's got Siakam, it's got Miles Turner, it's got Halliburton, who we know turns up in the postseason. Like, they're a good team. I think we were the better team though, and like,
Well,
we
even look at
gotta,
the third game. The third game they shut down
yeah,
Halliburton.
yeah,
He did nothing.
like I'm not going to say that we were beaten by a bunch of scrubs, but we were beaten by a team that we were better than.
Oh yes, and And that's what's just it's frustrating, man. Like you go 64-18. Like
Hmm.
that looked like a team that was like 36-40. Like that's what that team looked like.
Yeah,
It was like we scrapped by. It's like the lack of effort in game 5 or game 4 was just
very telling.
that just hurt me to watch, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the effort you're going to give. You're down 2-1. All you need to do is get that win. Go back to, and I think it changes things. If it's 2-2, it changes things. You go back to Cleveland.
Go back
You
to
have the
Cleveland on a
momentum.
2-game streak. Yep.
Dude,
It's
you
tied
win
up
that third
again.
game,
You
it's
got home
3-2.
field again.
You go
Yep.
back to Indiana, and then you win it 4-2. Like that game 4, I believe, will be going down as the kryptonite for this team. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Josh. And a lot of people might disagree with me. When I say this, I'm being very bold, and maybe this is going to come back and bite me in a year. I
I
don't
can't wait.
I don't see this team making it to the finals again in a very long time. And I'm saying that right now, even with this current team, the way this, I just don't see it. I can't. I can't, as someone who's coached basketball, as someone who's played basketball, I can't bring myself to see how this team is going to make it to the finals.
Well,
And
I think that's a go ahead.
I just, and the biggest take I have about this is I feel like we bought a luxury automobile and then we finally realized that it loses appreciation as it's played, as it's run. That's what I feel like we have. We spent a bunch of money on a really nice thing, and then now we've just letting it run it out because it just, to me, I just feel like we're now becoming the new age of the Cleveland Browns, like which they are right now, is like 2020 to 2025, like where we spend the money, we get some of the flashy things we can get, but we don't know how to use it, and that's what I feel like we've done now. We have the
Yeah,
flashy things, we don't know how to use it.
we do. We're paying a lot of money to Garland, a lot of money to Allen, Mobley, Mitchell, and I think like that comment you made is a good segue into, I guess, what's next for this team because we got I believe Garland under contract till 28. We got Mobley under contract I think till 30. Mitchell has a player option for this coming season, but
He
hearing him
seems like
talk
he's going to
about
opt in. Yeah, he's going to opt in.
I
I
think he's
don't
going
see
to opt
that.
in because after the game this morning, he's made some
You don't
comments
say
that he
that.
hadn't gone to sleep.
Yeah, you
I
don't
watched
say
two
that. Yeah,
replays of the game, so I think he's really like trying to get down to what really went wrong, and maybe he'll figure it out. But I think he will opt in and
and
at
you get
least
rid of
stay
Max
another
Struss.
season.
Max Struss needs to
Well,
go.
that's what I was going to ask is, I mean, when you look at the roster on
Yeah,
paper, it sounds great until you watch it in the
yeah.
playoffs. But what's I guess
Uh,
the move here? Do we?
I
I know some people have been throwing around like trading for Giannis
no, I
Antetokounmpo, but
don't
that
think
could
so.
only be
No,
that's probably only going to be a rental too. And I think you'd have to give up Garland and Mobley or Allen and a bunch of picks to get that.
yeah. I
And then at that point, it's like, does Allen or not Allen? Does a Mitchell, Antetokounmpo, and either Allen or Mobley that you keep, is that going to make
no,
our
I don't
team
think that's the
tougher?
move.
Is that
No,
higher end
I,
level of stardom going to get us to that next level?
we know that Gilbert as an owner does not like doing rentals. Like he's kind of always shown like he's given a lot, he's given the team free reign to do what they want. But you know what I mean? Like he's never been like, because a lot of owners will come out and be like, "Hey, we love this addition," and like he's never really been like I feel like a fan, or even the GMs, any of the GMs we've had have never been really a fan of that. I believe that I think Max Struss is going to have to go. I think you're paying him too much money to have a guy who in a crucial situation when he supposedly said this in a group chat and then shows up and does that is just why are you paying him, whatever, 13 million a year you're paying him. Um I I think you have to make a move. I think you have to get something else. Like I love Garland, but I think if there's a piece you can move, that is a piece that you can maybe build around, maybe through the draft or through through something else. I think Garland's the one piece that you could get something for, and I don't think it doesn't change as much. I think personally that's just my personal opinion. I like Garland. I like what him and Mitchell do 1-2 combo because we saw when he's there. I mean, what they can do together. But I think is there a guy in the draft coming up that you're willing to say, hey, we'll offer you Garland if you give us the sixth pick or the seventh pick? Or maybe do you package him or something like that? I think Mobley and Mitchell are untouchable. I think those two guys are here for the foreseeable future. I think now they have to decide what do we do with Hunter? Do we sign him to an extension? Because I like Hunter. I like what he brings, the length, the defense, the shooting. Like we saw nothing of our first round pick of last year. We see it like the bench seems very after you get past Hunter and Dean Wade, a little bit, and even now we got to figure out what we're doing with what's his face, point guard, the white guy, number two. What is his name? I'm blanking off my head. Jerome,
Me
Ty
too.
Jerome.
Ty
Yeah,
Jerome, yep.
yeah. So after those guys, you really have nothing after that. So personally, I think you have to make a move. Either get some star power that's currently in the NBA, or do you trade one of your better players for a younger draft pick, a guy that you can also then plug in and play pretty right away? But again, that means you would have to have a team who's in the top 10 say, hey, we love Garland that much. Um, yeah, I at the end of the day, I think I would not be surprised if they don't make any changes, or if they do, it's just like role players. I really struggle to see them go all out because one, the money is already tight, and I think it would have to be smart. So I think they'll get a draft pick, whatever they get, in the draft. Will they move up? We'll see. But I think that's going to be probably their only, I think, big move. That's just me personally, at least. That's what I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't see them making a big trade either, although I think Garland would be the easiest piece to, I guess, get the biggest return on and not have a whole lot change. The other things I could see is, like you said, the role players. I would be fine with letting Struss and Jerome go. I would love to maybe see them go out and get another big to pair with Mobley or Allen, or go out and get a tough guy like a junkyard dog like Dylan Brooks, maybe. Like, sure, the guy does like some stupid stuff. He'll get some technicals sometimes. He might not really add a whole lot to our offense, but I think he like shocks the locker room a little bit. Like maybe brings
Mhm.
like a level of toughness that would rub off on some of the other guys. Like
Or
I've
just get
loved
a or
seeing
just get a big man that's not 6'9". Like we have like all these 6'9" big mans. Like get a dude
someone
that's
that's
like
actually
seven
7
one.
feet.
Like
Yeah. Yeah, I've loved seeing like what guys like Patrick Beverly have been able to do, or even like Draymond Green, honestly. Like I think you just kind of deal with all the
ticks
extra
off enough people,
nonsense.
but he
Yeah,
dominates.
but someone that can like come in and like just raise the level of toughness, or like
Like an
challenge
Anderson
the
Varejao.
team toughness. Yeah.
Like that kind of guy.
Well, I don't even know about Verge. I do a soft and flopped all the time, but
Yeah, but he was tough. I
nevertheless,
mean, he rebounded like crap, and I'll take that any day. Like we don't have a guy off the bench that rebounds out of the wazoo. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
we don't have that can just go out and rebound, block shots, steals. Like we need something like that off the bench because you can't have Mobley out there 48 minutes a game. You just
hmm
can't, you know.
Nevertheless, I think from here, like they definitely got to do something to increase the toughness of the team, and I don't know if that's like bringing in some like junkyard dog level guys like what the Miami Heat got, or going out and maybe trying to get Dylan Brooks or something like that. But I'd be surprised if they made a splash trade that involved send a guy out like Garland, or bringing a guy like Antetokounmpo over here or something like that.
I
And
don't even really want Giannis because like I haven't been impressed when he does have guys around him. Like he had that one championship run, but outside of that, like when he's had guys around him, he's not really done a lot. Like really, honestly, outside of
not
that
what you would
championship.
like to see, yeah. And I'm
No,
sure the other thing that people will point to is, what about a return of LeBron James?
it's not going to happen. I think LeBron is set with LA and he's set to be there the rest of his career. I think
Also would agree.
LeBron is also like I'm going to try to say this as nice as I possibly can, but he's so consumed into the liberal political field in this world that like I don't think he would come back to a state that's becoming redder. I don't think he's going to associate. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound too political, but like I feel like he's so attached to LA and like that lifestyle and that world that I just don't see him leaving it. Like unless he like really gets a spot that really makes sense. Like that's just my opinion.
I hear you. And I think I would rather play with Luka Doncic than Darius Garland too, but that's just me. But
Hmm.
either way, I don't really have a whole lot to say about the Cavs. How about you?
No, I mean it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean as a Cleveland fan, I'm kind of used to it, so it doesn't really sting as much as I think it would for some people. But
hmm
I've talked with a lot of my Cleveland buddies, and they're like, yeah, like there's a lot of people who are just kind of like, well, it's is what it is. Like
Yeah,
we're
it's like,
used
hey
to it.
man, we made it to the conference semifinals again.
Oh, here we
It's
go. Like it's
yeah,
awesome, and
it's
it's
another
like,
winning
but it's
season.
also like just like hurts the fan base, man. Like they were pumped all year. They were showing out. Every game was sold out. Like they were showing up all the time. Even then, when they're
Yeah.
down 3-1, they were showing up. Like that's what you
Yep.
give them. Like goodness, like just
Yeah.
like I really think Atkinson needs to go back and really like evaluate what happened because it's like he like forgot how to coach this series. Honestly, like everything they were doing well, it's like they just didn't do.
Yeah. That's your coach of the year. We'll see what we come out with, I guess, next season. But in the meantime, we got the rest of the semifinals going on. Like Knicks and Boston still got one game
Knicks
left.
are winning that. It's just it's not.
I think
It's
they will. I think Tatum's injury is a done deal, and then OKC took a 3-2 lead
I don't
in
know.
the series with
Denver.
Denver.
Way Denver's been playing, man. Though, like they find ways to somehow come
I
back
will
in
not count.
series.
I will not count Denver
No, I
out
won't
yet
either.
either. Yeah, can't
Okay, it
count
will
out
make me sleep
Jokic.
better. It will help me sleep better if OKC doesn't make the finals. That will, for some reason, it'll make me feel better if they don't make it either. Like a really
I
good
got you.
record and then just kind of like fail. I'll be
Yeah,
okay with it.
yeah. So
I just don't want the
in the
Knicks to win
meantime,
it all. I don't want the Knicks to win it all because I don't want to hear Stephen A. Smith for the next freaking
oh
year.
yeah, I
I just
know,
couldn't
dude.
handle that. I
I
just couldn't.
know.
I couldn't.
So those series will still be happening, but also basketball related. The NBA draft combine's going on. We just had the lottery, which we were going to talk about. I think this is 5 or 7 like years in a row that the worst team in the league did not get the number one pick.
And this
In
year
fact, the
didn't even
three
fall in the lottery.
in fact the three worst teams, Ben, got picks 5, 6, and 7. Uh, Number one pick is the Dallas Mavericks, who had a
So rigged.
1.8% chance of
So
getting
rigged.
one. And
So
that's what we
rigged.
were going to talk about because the whole
So
reason that the
dumb.
lottery system exists is to
Even
discourage
it out.
tanking.
Yeah, and even it out.
Discourage tanking. Like just because you're the worst team doesn't guarantee you get the number one pick. And in spirit, that sounds cool, I guess. But then you also have that play-in tournament for the playoffs where you include the 9 to 10 seeds so that those teams that are fringe, try to still play hard. If you're the 12 seed, but you're a few games back and could be that 10, and then maybe make yourself therefore the 8 seed. Like they're doing all these things to try to increase competition. I don't think it's working, but all that to say, specifically about the lottery, uh, yeah, I mean, this is another instance where it seems like, and people have been tweeting out all the instances where it seems the NBA makes a deal with a team. Like, I guess most recently, the Dallas Mavericks get one, and part of the agreement would have been, you guys trade Luka Doncic to LA, one of our bigger markets, and we'll hook you up with the number one pick. And this has happened a few times with New Orleans. When they traded Chris Paul, they got awarded the pick that became Anthony Davis. And then when they trade Anthony Davis to the big market LA team, then they get rewarded with the number one pick to go get Zion Williamson, even though they weren't the worst team. Even back in 2008, get the Bulls getting Derrick Rose, who was like a Chicago native, and then the Cavs being rewarded with a couple picks for LeBron leaving. One that eventually led to the Kevin Love trade that brought him over when LeBron came back. But over and over again, it seems like the lottery just favors the big market teams. It's supposed to spring them forward or get them out. And then these teams that actually do suck, like I'll bring up the Charlotte Hornets. They're one of those teams where it's like they've been stuck in purgatory of being like good enough to be out of contention for any kind of high pick and being bad enough that they can never be a serious playoff contender. They're like a smaller market compared to other teams in the league, so they're never going to be like a big free agent destination. So even being a player, going out and getting like, a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo or Nikola Jokic or anybody like that to come and play for you is out of the question. And I think the lottery just keeps bad teams bad longer because especially like it, unlike the NFL where like you can have a few rounds of really good players in the NBA draft, there might be one or two guys that can change a franchise.
Yeah.
And after pick three, you're already into like career like bench warmers basically. And maybe
Mhm.
every now and then, you hit a guy in the second round, like a Donovan Mitchell or a Draymond Green or somebody that like exceeds expectations. But those are a dime a dozen. They're super rare. Very rarely do you get the opportunity to get a guy like Zion Williamson to come in or a guy like Victor Wembanyama to come in and have the ability to change a franchise. But that's basically, I guess, the spiel right there about the lottery. And I'll go ahead and let you share what
Yeah.
you thought of the
I
results.
it's just so rigged, man. It's so frustrating. What's the point? Like I know you don't want teams to tank, but then how are you going to reward the teams that are struggling? Like how are not reward, but like how are you going to help them? Like it's so and then also like you look at the Spurs, like they're going to have another top pick. Like they're literally going to get another dude to add to their freaking I personally I would have rather seen Cooper Flag with the Spurs 'cause I think that would have been just fun to see like
Yeah.
Bayama and but like to go to Dallas like really like it would have been any other team, even teams that were semi good. Like it would have been any of those other teams that were kind of like in that mark. I've been okay with it, but it's like at least if you're in the NBA, like at least try to hide it better. Like at least try to like make it seem mysterious. But like when you jump up 10 spots to get the number one pick, like, you know how rare that, like, you know how, like, percentage wise that is just crazy to think
It
about?
is. I mean, it was a 1.8%
Like,
chance.
are you telling me that you do this and it just so happens to be that 1.8% chance that that's what happened? It just seems very unlikely to me. And again, I kind of go with what you said. Like, people are saying like there was like a deal, and I wouldn't put it past the NBA. We know NBA more than any other market, even more than the NFL. They love their markets. Like, if they have a big market, they love their markets. They love putting a guy
Yes,
in there
they
that's going to
and
make,
they got the media
you know,
always pushing the Lakers even when they suck, and the Knicks even when they suck, and those
exactly.
teams always get all the attention. Meanwhile, like when the Cavs were doing good, like not really a whole lot of people talked about the Cavs. Not a whole lot of
No,
people like talking about the Denver Nuggets. Not a lot of people like talking about Oklahoma City
it's not where
Thunder.
the money is. It's not where the
Yeah,
money is. You know, and I think that's kind of the way it is. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, it's frustrating because now the Mavericks actually might be good, but then again, it almost like rubs like, I feel like it does rub some Mavericks fans wrong the wrong way. It's like, so you mean you just like dropped Luca because you think Cooper Flag's going to be like this better You know what I mean? Like, for some
if you
people,
look
they
at it
might
that
be
way, yeah.
like really. So yeah, at the end of the day, man, I just it is what it is. But it just
Well,
seems so sketch, man. It just
yeah.
seems so rigged and so politically gained, and yeah.
The order of the one, two, and three getting those picks that ended up being the case, I think, was 0.00013%. I might have added an
Ridiculous.
extra zero in there, but it was something that was very unlikely. And then, like I said, Dallas with the 1.8. And then you got clowns like Nick Wright on his show saying, hey, the reason that it was 1.8% is because there's a 1.8% chance of things like this happening. If you take, and he said, if you go to your local community college, it's like $70 a credit hour and take like a statistics and probability class, you can learn that things that happen 1.8% of the time have a 1.8% chance of happening. And it's like, okay, Nick, well, this happens year after year after year after year after year. Like I said, it's been like 5 to 7 years since the actual worst team got that first pick. Like this isn't just a one-off incident where it's like, okay, yeah, you know, out of every 100 drafts, like two times this happens. Like, no, this is something that happens over and over again. Coincidentally, with a big market team that traded away a star player the season before and seemingly getting rewarded for it. Like that just was a stupid argument. I thought that is just another case of guys, I don't know, trying to like he was
There's some nut cases
aggressively
in this.
defend
Oh,
very aggressively defending like the legitimacy of the lottery, and I didn't see it.
dude, there's some nut cases, man, in sports media, man. Like, there's just people that I'm just like, how do you have a job?
Hmm.
Like, how do you still talk about sports, man? Like, it's wild, man. It's just
Yeah.
it just hurts my brain sometimes. It really does.
I think Nick has some good takes now and then, but that was one of those that's just like, yeah, this is why like not a lot of people listen to you.
It's just
But
like when Stephen A. just like randomly says stuff, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with the story. Like, what are you talking about?
mhm.
You know, and it's like ESPN always like, if something happens to, someone of a minority, like they always bring up that race card, or they always bring up like there's always something external. I'm like, how about we just focus on the player? Like, maybe there's just something about the player that's just off. Like, why does it always have to be, you know what I mean? Like, it gets away from, like, I saw a post the other day, and I don't know about you if you've seen this, but it said like the nostalgia of waking up at 6 a.m. on Sports Center before you go to school and like just seeing actual highlights of sports. Like, when was the last time you turned on ESPN, Josh, and like it was just highlights? It was just, you know what I mean? Or watched a YouTube from ESPN or something like that where it was just highlights. There's always
It's just
commentary about
it's all
something.
debate shows now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not fun anymore, man. Like, I miss that. I miss being able just to catch
Yeah.
up on all the teams, what's going on, and the stats and everything like that.
For sure. I think the late night Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt's about the closest that it gets to that
Yeah,
anymore. And
yeah, yeah.
that's the one that I see because I'm night shift and I'm usually up late seeing what's on. And sometimes when that's on, I watch it. But I think talking about rigging the draft lottery, we got a great segue into the next segment
Yeah,
about some baseball players
yeah,
that have been banned from the Hall of Fame because of alleged rigging. Uh,
yeah.
that would be Pete Rose, who bet on baseball. That would be Shoeless Joe Jackson, who allegedly was a part of the Black Sox scandal, tossing the series away, even though he hit 375 with a home run in that, and it didn't really look like a whole lot of evidence to support that. Dude was illiterate, but that's a little bit of the context there. But MLB came out, Rob Manfred,
Yep.
with a statement that it looks like the ban is going to be lifted. Like now that
Oh,
both have been dead for a little bit now.
this is passionate about this.
It's yeah, I know Ben
Mm,
being like a Reds fan is going to feel a little bit more passionate about this, but Rob basically said like,
mm,
well, now that they're dead, like the whole lifetime ban has pretty much been served. Like they
mm,
both died knowing that they didn't make the Hall of Fame, and I guess since they died thinking that they weren't going to be in the Hall, like now that it's okay, now that they're not here to give them an opportunity because they'll never know it kind of thing is how I took it. But like I said, Ben's a Reds fan. He's passionate. I've always thought that the Hit King should be able to be in the Hall of Fame too, because the bets that he made weren't necessarily on his team to lose, throwing series away like at least the Black Sox were, and everything that he accomplished while playing uh, wasn't any of the alleged rigging. It was all as like a manager that he was making these bets about. So it didn't take away, I guess, from his playing career is what I'm getting at. But
no,
what say you, Ben?
it's just frustrating. This show is just so frustrating today. It's just so many
This show is
frustrating,
just
just
getting
frustrating.
all the
No, I
stress off of our
look,
chest and saying how we really feel and venting and
I guess it's and Marty Brennaman said this. You know who Marty Brennaman is? The voice of
of
the Reds
course.
for many years, and he said it great too. Like it's so despicable that they did this months after Pete Rose died. Like, you mean you couldn't have like had the courtesy, the heart to like maybe this guy came out and apologized. This guy came out and said, "Hey, I did so," like we saw it. We all witnessed him the last few years really slowly come out and start saying like, "Hey, I apologize if what I've ruined or if I affected the game in a wrong way." And I did. I'm trying to be so nice because I love baseball. I love the game of baseball, but it's so hurtful to see that you do this like so soon after he died. It was almost like you were waiting for that bell to ring, like, oh, he's gone. So now we can unlock the safe. Like this man deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, yes, he betted, but he didn't bet on his own, like it wasn't when he was playing for the big red machine, when he was dominating the world of baseball. Like this dude is leader in hits, in at bats, in games played. Like this man is second in doubles. This guy had played 5 different positions at one point. He has won multiple Super World Series. He has won multiple awards. Like you're telling me that there are other people. I'm sure there's other people in the Hall of Fame that we don't even talk about that have other issues that could affect certain things. But
Well, David Ortiz most
well,
famously did the
yeah,
performance enhancing drugs and was busted for that. But it
yeah,
seemed like since he had a good relationship with the media and was, funny with them and they
exactly.
liked him, they overlooked it. And
So
Pete
then
Rose was a jerk a lot of
yeah.
times.
And look, I get and like he softened up as his age went on, which is as many people do at times, but this guy is the hit king. You're telling me that like he's basically served what from 89 to let's say 89 to 2009, that'd be 20 years. And then another 10 years would be 30 years. So you're telling me over 30 years like he hadn't served his time because this guy deserved to see himself like this. We deserve to hear a Pete Rose speech at Cooperstown. And now you're saying that there's going to be a special ballot in 2027. It's like a classic ballot, which basically means you have some players, writers, and everybody in between. What if a player doesn't like him? What if someone didn't like him? Now, if he doesn't get 75% of the vote, he doesn't go in. Like, are we really like going down that road where there's a chance that even after all this, he still doesn't get in? Like, look,
Yeah.
I know everyone makes their mistakes, but life's about forgiveness. It's about the idea of like, learning from those mistakes. And I feel like he has over the years. And man, and it's not even as a Reds fan, man. It's just as a baseball fan. I just feel it's so wrong to the game to let a legend die this way and then to now you're gonna honor him. Like if I was his family, like I wouldn't be surprised if they don't want to go to anything or if it happened like to not show up. Like I don't know. That's just my passionate take on it. But I think it's so despicable that and like the way they worded it to make it seem like it was like, dude, just say what you wanted to say, which is like, oh, he's dead, so now we can do it. Because that's basically
It's
what you said. That's basically what you said.
yeah. Yeah, that'll be the other interesting thing is this doesn't guarantee he gets in the Hall because they still got to do a vote in an election on it. And baseball writers tend to be the most stingy with how your relationship was with the media and the integrity of the game. Like that's why a lot of these, excuse me, steroid users like Alex Rodriguez and Manny Ramirez and Barry Bonds and Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, the list goes on. They're still not in the hall because they infected the integrity of the game, even though the steroid era was like a big part of baseball.
And even though
In
Barry
some
Bonds,
ways,
you take away the steroid years, he still has 400 home runs and 350 stolen bases. So
the guy was
like
performing without them, but he became like the absolute god that he
dude,
was on the
some
baseball
people are
diamond
so
with
stuck
roids.
up. They got so many stuck up them, and they
Yeah.
just
Yeah, well, I only bring all that up because, like I said, the baseball writers that vote for the Hall of Fame seem to be the most stingy when it comes to like, did we like you when you played? Did you do anything to affect the integrity of the game? Did you cheat? Were you clean? Like
and that's why I
all
don't
that
think he'll
kind of
get in. Like,
stuff.
that's part of me just feels like he won't get in.
Right. So there's still that chance, even though, like we said, there wasn't any performance enhancing drugs. There wasn't anything he did to throw series away, even when he was betting as a
He was
manager.
called
It
Charlie
wasn't
Hustle.
throwing his, yeah,
He was
it
called
wasn't
Charlie
throwing
Hustle for
any of
crying out
his,
loud.
yeah, not throwing any of his own games away. I guess just using info that he knew to try to make some extra money. I don't know, but nothing that really, like we said, as a player, there wasn't anything he did to infect the integrity of the game or cheat or anything like that, and that's why it's like. I wonder if they'll look at that differently. I don't know,
And
but
that's why I'm glad the Reds are honoring him this weekend. I know they're going to be honoring him, I think, a few times throughout the year, and they're wearing a patch. Like, at least one team's doing it right, man. Like, at least, and they've retired his number. Like, I don't know. I just think that I don't know.
hmm
Sometimes you have to have the bigger kahunas, man, and just suck it up when the former commissioner made a mistake, and just be like, look, I don't agree with this, mistake back in the late '80s, early '90s, and I'm going to reverse this, right? Like, this should have been done at least 10 years ago, if not more. Personally,
yeah, I think so. And I mean that's a lot to talk about Pete Rose. But did you have any similar thoughts? I guess since Joe
yeah,
Jackson was
but I think
also
it's the same
roped
thing.
into
But I
this
think it's
too.
the same thing though, because I think it's like that was what over 100 years ago. It's
That was the
1919.
1919 World
So
Series. Yeah,
over 100 years ago, the guy, like, there's still a lot of sketchy evidence that this guy barely could freaking do. Like, he couldn't. I don't believe he could read.
he was
So
illiterate. Yeah, couldn't read.
so you're telling me that this guy randomly would go to a bookie and write down and read like, I just don't see it. And then also, like, dude, everyone was betting back then, dude. It was the 1910s. Like, everyone was probably betting on something. It just so happened that he probably got caught, right? So look, I think
Well, this
I
was
think
like that case was like the first of its kind where
yeah,
like
I know.
it
Yeah.
that investigation, everything that came about that is why baseball eventually got a commissioner.
Yeah. So I think generally, like, I again, he has some amazing stats and like some of the stuff he did for baseball. So and he is one of those founder players in the sense, the first 20
hmm
plus years of baseball. So for me, I think like he also deserves to get in. But I again, I think that there would be more of a chance that Pete Rose gets in just because of the fact that he's the hit king than I think maybe Shoeless Joe Jackson, but we'll see. Um, yeah. I'm interested to see what
Yeah,
happens though with that.
I think if Joe did what he was, I guess, accused of doing, it's way worse than what Pete did. But
Yeah.
I just think that the performance that he had in that World Series would indicate that he didn't really know what he was signing up
Yeah.
for, and that would go back to not being able to read. But um, yeah, I would hope that both of them could get in. But I think if one had again, I think Pete's got a better chance. But again, we'll see. We'll see what these writers decide to vote on. But I do hope that Pete gets in. Like that, like we've said, that's the hit king. Like it's
And no one's
crazy
going to
that
break that, by
our
the way. No one's
yeah,
breaking that ever.
your
Ever.
kids might be different because you're a Reds fan, but I feel like the way that the game's greats get talked about, like everybody knows who Babe Ruth is, who Sandy Koufax is, who Willie Mays is, who Ken Griffey Jr. is, even Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
But Pete Rose is one of those guys that gets like lost in the saw or in the dust because he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's got that lifetime ban, and it would suck for like our kids' generation to not know who the hit king is, or to like be looking up stats and be like, "Who's Pete Rose?"
And the fact that this dude is
Son, I'm gonna tell you a story.
yeah, and the fact that this dude, I don't think there's ever going to be someone that gets close there. I mean, he played 24 seasons. There's no one ever playing 24
There's
seasons
no
anymore.
longevity in the game
No.
today. There's not a whole lot of guys even getting 200 hits in a season. Like to put it in perspective, fellas, let me go ahead and break down to you what it would take realistically to get to 4,000
That's
career
like
hits.
200 plus hits every year.
Like let's just say that a guy gets into the league when he's We'll
Let's say
go generous.
21.
20 years old or 21.
So let's go 21.
21. You come into the league when you're 21. We know that your prime, like you're starting to slow down once you get to your mid 30s, but
So let's say he
you know,
plays till he's 38. So 17 years.
21 to 30. Well, I'll just go like 41 and make it an
Okay.
even 20.
20.
Like 21 to 41. So you play 20 seasons. If you're going to get 4,000 career hits, 4,000 hits divided by 20 seasons means you have to average, it's spot on, 200 hits a season. If you're going to play a 20-year career, you got to average 200 hits a season, give or take. You could have 170 here, you could have 230 there, but guys just don't have that longevity anymore. Like even looking at like the hit stats, it's very hard to get to 200
And
hits.
they always take off like 4 or 5 days of freaking every month. They always take off days. Pete Rose, you saw him play many games in a row and broken noses. I mean, the guys back then played every game of the season.
Correct. Like 3,000 hits is something that I'm not sure we'll ever see again, much
Yeah.
less 4,000. Like him and
Yeah.
Ty Cobb are the only 4,000 hit guys, I believe.
Yeah, and it's not going to be another person. I don't believe so. Unless a guy gets up when he's like 18 and plays until he's like 42, that's the only chance I see someone. But then again, by the time he's 30, he's already probably regressing because that'd be 12 years in the major leagues, and by that point, I feel like you're already starting to regress.
Yeah, like you definitely have to have an early start, and that's why I would look at a guy like maybe Juan Soto that came into the league when he was 19. Like a guy like that is going to have the best shot
We
to
thought
do
Bryce
something like
Harper was
this.
going to be that guy, but
We
he
thought Bryce
started
could be that
slowing
guy
down.
too, come in the league when he was 19 as well. But yeah, I mean he's still got the pop in his bat. But as far as like getting 200 hits, that was never really something he was ever
And it's
doing.
got to be an average guy. It has to be a guy that's not going to hit a lot of home runs. He's just slapping it the other way, kind of what P. Rose did.
That's what Pete did. That's what Ty did. That's what Ichiro did when he
Yeah.
came and got his hits in this league too. And we're kind of moving away from the slap hitters too. Like Luis Ariz, you'd think that maybe a guy that plays like that could do that, but again, like just the
He's also
longevity
older.
aspect is,
He's already
yeah,
20, like 5. So
yeah, the longevity aspect is so hard in this game to
yeah,
do something like that.
it is wild. Truly is.
Hmm
Mm.
I think that's a show though.
Yeah, I mean, like the other topic we even suggested was like we joked about how many conspiracy theories are going on in like sports right now, like with football and like basketball I just feel like sometimes in sports we love to just create stories for Rift. Like the Browns with Shadur Sanders. Like everyone has a new story like every day, and it's just like let the guy just play football, man.
Yeah.
Like
I
just leave
think
the guy
that
alone.
I think all the questions that like Kevin Stefanski's been getting about, why is Gabriel getting the first team reps or why is he getting this many more snaps than Shadur? Like you can just kind of see in his face, like, gosh, I hate all these stupid questions. I knew this was going to be a media circus. And then when you see the clip of when they actually drafted him in the war room and they're all just like stone faced golf clapping, they're just like, oh my gosh, man, we're going to have to deal with all this nonsense about a fourth-string quarterback over and over and over and over again as the season goes. And it's just, not usually worth the headache, which is why I think so many teams passed on it. But
Yeah.
Kevin, I think saw this coming and it's just totally like, I guess, expected.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it's what you deal with, man. You get a Sanders in your
When you get a
locker room,
celebrity
it's
backup or
it's
third string quarterback,
it's
this
gonna
is what
happen.
happens.
Now again, I
Yeah.
hope he pans out and he does great for Cleveland, but like right now I'm very low on Cleveland in the sense, just a lot of frustration. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a really good thing. I think down below in the comments, I want you to give your thoughts on Pete Rose, and does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Does Joe Jackson deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? And give us your thoughts. What do you feel about it? It'll be very interesting to hear your thoughts. And also, let us know about anything else we've talked about in the previous weeks or in this episode. That's great. I know my dad posted something on our last episode about how he believes, according to his sources, which is a podcast, I know which podcast he watches, says that the hammer is still coming down on Michigan and that Josh is wrong. So, maybe the hammer is still coming down at the end of the day. I'm sure
We're
he'll
waiting.
comment.
I've been told for 2 years the hammer's
And
coming.
I'm sure he's commenting right now as he's watching this about me saying this. He's probably got some explanation. So
Yeah. Gave it 20 total seconds of airtime today, but it'll be what he comments on.
yeah, I know, right? So
Not about the Cavs or Pete Rose or
exactly.
any of that.
And one of these times we'll have to have my dad back on and hear his thoughts on everything that's going on. I mean, that's the guy who would be interesting because my dad grew up watching Pete Rose. So Oh, Dad, comment down below, Dad, because I'm sure you have a very strong take on that. But anyways, yeah, good episode. It's middle of May, so we're already getting closer to June, which means we have All-Star game coming up for MLB in early July. We have MLB draft coming up. We have obviously we have the NBA draft in the finals, and everything else in between are going to be coming up. So a lot to talk about, a lot of news stories that will be coming out obviously every single week. So yeah, excited for that. If you love listening to us and watching us on YouTube, click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you love listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, hey, share with a friend. Hey, if you're riding a long car ride, hey, it's a great thing to listen to, because you know what? You're not going to wreck, because we have so much humor, and you'll be fine. You'll be totally fine, for sure. But also, I did want to give a shout out before we go. Mr. L, I don't know if Josh saw this. Mr. L is the man who gave the green light for Josh and I years ago to do a radio show together called the Full Court Press. I did see that. I believe he is retiring. I saw on Cedarville's website on their Facebook page.
I think we addressed that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We knew that.
But I just wanted to say once again, because I think we didn't really touch on it. We just kind of quickly said it.
Semester's coming to an end. I think it's all.
Yeah, it is done. Yeah,
now.
it's all done. Yeah. So I just wanted to say, thank you to Mr. L. He gave two guys that love sports a shot at just doing a sports radio show for a couple years, and yeah, it was a blast. And I think Josh can probably attest to, like, that. Those were some of the most fun laughs that we had, just talking with people that we are around every day, and we got to talk to them about their sport, and we got to hold gold medals and meet some really cool coaches. And so I just want to say thank you, Mr. L. Like, I know sometimes you listen to it every once in a while, so if you did listen to this one, we really appreciate you and what you did for us all those years ago. Josh, anything before I sign off?
No, I think you nailed it. I've been watching baseball as we've been talking. I hope that we got some nice stories to talk about down the road. Just as far as, like, I guess, surprising seasons, all-star picks we always like doing those kind of about a month out from when the game happens. Aaron Judge being on like a crazy pace that he is right now. The Dodgers, like, going through all the injuries that they are, and we'll talk about it more down the road. But
and I think one thing that did come to my mind that I thought about when I was thinking about Mr. L actually is that Josh had no clue about my personality. I just wanted to say that. So this dude, I remember this, like, our first interview was with Eason Bozzoli, and if no one knows who Eason Bozzoli is, so actually this one never aired. I don't think it aired because I think this was like a practice round.
That one was a test run, yeah.
This dude, I'm so glad we did a practice round, because Josh learned very quickly that there are people that are on the radio show that also were going to be guests that just, you had to be careful though what questions you would ask, because we'd go down rabbit holes, and some of the answers were just always hilarious to me. But yeah, but I appreciate the memories that we made. I still remember the blooper reel that happened all the time, because somehow I had always ended up on the end of it. Josh was perfect, had every note. He would always have all his questions written down. Never break stride. But anyways, guys, hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, rest of the week, and until next time, we'll see ya.